All right. Looks like we've got a really nice turnout. Let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today on this very important topic that I know impacts all of us. We are here with Dean, Lynette, and Jami from Notre Dame to talk through their strategy in handling permissions. As we go, please add your chat and questions into the Sessions tab, and we'll have a few minutes for Q&A at the end. And with that, I'll hand this over to Dean.
Great, thank you. Just trying to make sure my windows are correct here. So my name is Dean Ernzen from the University of Notre Dame, and I'm part of the team that supports our Salesforce environment. Two of my teammates, Jami, Radcliff, and Lynette, Shunka, will help navigate you through this permission set jungle discussion. These implementing Salesforce 2016 have two orgs that we manage: the enterprise CRM org, which utilizes the event patch. These is included orgs consist of interesting opportunities.
Sorry to interrupt. There's some audio issues.
Yeah. So, yep, hang on, Dean. Yeah, it sounds. I was trying to figure out that it was mine or yours, and it sounds like there is, in fact, some connectivity issues.
I think it's Dean, unfortunately. I don't know if you stopped sharing your video, Dean, if that would help.
Yes, you do that. Yeah. Do that. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that we're gonna.
Dean, why don't you refresh and come back. Thank you, Carrie, for that. Give it just a minute. Jami, Lynette, I do have.
You're kind of quiet now too, Dan.
Uh-oh, that's
not you too.
We're losing everyone.
Sorry, Jami, I gotta go.
No.
I actually think my thumb might have been like I had my hand right here, right possibly on the mic. So
that would do
better.
it. Yeah, Lynette.
Yeah, that's exactly, Brendel. Yeah, Jami or Lynette, are you able to share screen? I can share the slides, but I also know that you have a spreadsheet that you're going to share as well.
Yeah, Lynette, would you mind sharing since you know how to navigate that?
Sure.
Not to throw it on you.
Yeah, totally. Okay, hold on, because I haven't practiced doing the things. Let me present.
Can you all hear me now?
Yes, you can hear you fine.
Okay, I can try and share. Sure.
Okay.
Let's try and get back to where we were. I apologize.
It's okay.
Okay. So I'll pick up where I left off. Sorry about that. So as shown on this slide, we use a number of products that support and enhance the functionality we deliver with our Salesforce environments. Please feel free to reach out to us if you'd like to discuss this topic we're covering today or any other aspect of our ecosystem. The topic we're addressing today, slashing through the permission set jungle, describes our experiences using legacy approaches to permissions and how that was transformed by the implementation of a new Salesforce org and adopting the latest best practices. An outline. It includes where we started, why we changed, how we did it, impact, lessons learned, and references.
Awesome. And then are you moving forward, Dean? Sorry, I don't know if there's a delay or not.
We might have lost him again.
Yes, got the first part of your. Get the.
There we go. Okay. So hopefully this all goes smoothly now. Thank you, Dean, for that awesome intro, despite the technical difficulties that you're having. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Jami Radcliff, and I am part of the admin team here at the university. I support both our enterprise org as well as our new advancement org that you'll hear a little bit more about today. And we are really excited to be here to talk about everyone's favorite topic, which is permissions management in Salesforce. But before we dive into how we overhauled our thought process regarding permissions, we wanted to share how and where we got started. Our Salesforce journey really began when the need for a constituent relationship management platform was identified. But work really began in June of 2015 when a core team was formed and we did some benchmarking. Things moved fairly quickly, and our enterprise org went live in February of 2016, with the Mendoza College of Business and Notre Dame Law School being the first groups to join. In October of 2017, the CRM landscape at Notre Dame started changing drastically when the development team joined our existing org. The group really started bringing in vast amounts of biographic and demographic data about our constituents, and this really made us begin to rethink our sharing and access in the org. As time went on, more and more groups joined the platform until we ended up with a total of 19 distinct user groups across campus, all with varying CRM needs. So you can see a little bit of a timeline here for us. But now that you have a little bit of insight into how our enterprise org has grown over the years, we thought it'd be fun to share some numbers with you. When all was said and done, our enterprise org ended up with 36 roles and 55 custom profiles. User groups typically had anywhere between 1 and 3 roles to support internal group hierarchies, but some did have more than that. Profiles were created not only for each distinct user group, but also for each functional role within those groups, so that we could get a little bit more granular with the permissions required for each of those roles. We really treated profiles as the end-all be-all for us, and they really handled everything in terms of permissions, including all object and field level access, record type assignments, Apex and Visualforce access, and literally everything in between. It all was on the profile. In addition to this, we had about 100 custom permission sets, but if we include those that were installed as part of a managed package or app, we had over 200 permission sets to manage and assign. Our custom permission sets layered in additional permissions that often only 1 or 2 users in a group or even the entire org needed, so not very agile for us. You'll notice that we had 0 permission set groups. These were introduced by Salesforce when our existing infrastructure was already in place, and we just hadn't really gotten around to adopting those in that org as of yet. We also had 42 public groups that we used to support 169 sharing rules that we had to put in place to manage record access. These rules were spread over 15 objects with 57 sharing rules on our constituent object alone. So quite a lot. It's a lot to manage, right? So why did we take that approach? What really drove the complex permissions management setup was the addition of that sensitive data being brought in by our development team. We had to adopt a really conservative data governance approach where we could have strict control over which groups could see which constituents, what fields they could view on those records, and what they could create or edit in relation to those constituents. Adding a new user group caused a very big time investment for system admins as it required building a combination of those permission and sharing mechanisms. And at the end of the day, the approach just really drove a lot of administrative bloat, and our team had limited resources available to manage it, which obviously is a problem that I think is felt pretty universally throughout higher ed, so it's probably not foreign to any of you guys. All of this together made user provisioning and day-to-day administration difficult and made us realize that our existing approach was not scalable for future growth whatsoever. So when we were presented with that magical opportunity that all admins secretly or not so secretly hope for and got to spin up a whole new advancement org and start from scratch, we realized that we need to do some soul searching and ask ourselves an important question. Knowing what you know now, what would you do differently if you got to start over? And I will be passing it back to Dean now so he can explain to you why we changed our thought process about permissions and what guidance helped us along the way. So hopefully we get him back here. Take it away, Dean.
Yeah, hopefully my audio is working now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so as clearly illustrated by Jami, maintaining the security model in the enterprise org was painful. It often felt like we were searching in the dark to find the one thing that was either granting too much access or preventing a user from doing what they needed to do. In the enterprise org, having all the permissions in the profile based on roles meant that the same permission existed in several profiles, so any changes required making the same update in multiple places. Also, updates to profiles do not translate well through change sets, so we had to do updates in 2 sandboxes and a production environment manually, which was very time-consuming and certainly prone to error. The best practice recommendation in this Learn More article, however, helped us to start thinking differently about permissions. It was decided that the Ascend Manage package would be in a new org. We saw this as a great opportunity to use this philosophy when building out the security infrastructure. Lynette's going to provide more details about how we did this and the positive impact this had on maintenance and troubleshooting.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you for everyone joining. Hi, my name is Lynette. I'm one of the Salesforce administrators supporting the new advancement org for the University of Notre Dame. In designing permissions for our new advancement org using the Ascend Manage package, we started it from the base and built from there. So we started with lightweight profiles driven primarily by the need for different home pages. These also included page layout assignments, tab visibility, default record types, and assigned apps. Next, we layered on the base permission set, which enabled read access across all objects, enabled Apex classes, Visualforce pages, and edit field level security access where appropriate. This was applied to all development system users. Finally, to handle permissions that should only be granted to specific users or groups above and beyond what's provided by the base permission set, we created object-specific permission sets that granted record type and field level access as needed. We pulled these permission sets together and bundled them into permission set groups for easy user provisioning. This allows our user access manager to easily assign permissions via permission set group rather than assigning individual permissions or modifying profiles. With this sort of approach, it's important to have a good permission set naming convention in place in order to keep things clean and organized. Using permission set naming conventions allows us not only to quickly troubleshoot permissions, but continue to grow for future needs, especially for heavy-hitting objects like cases. For the permission set name, we start with the object, then record type, and CRED access. The description provides visibility into what's contained in the permission set and a glance at who the permission set is intended for. To achieve this, we met with our functional team leads to review each object and determine the base level of access needed. With an open sharing model, our users are able to read almost everything with edit and delete access managed via permission sets. So now we're going to demonstrate a high-level overview of what this could look like. Dean's going to open up our profile and permission document that we reviewed with our users. Just another tab. Got this, Dean. Sweet. Thank you. So when determining the security needs for our new org, we walk through every object with our functional team in order to determine what access would be needed for each user group. So in this situation, we're going to look at the address relation object. So you can see the object's name, the API name, and that comes in handy whenever we're relabeling objects. Then we're able to examine how new records are created. So we can see for address relation, it's created by automation as well as user-created records. Then our functional team helped us to determine the base level of access needed for the development users, which is create, read, and edit at the object level and read and edit at the field level with no edits after the record is created, giving the GIF management group create, read, edit, and delete access. In order to accommodate the no edit after the record was created requirement, we created a validation rule, which is also documented in this sheet. We've also shared this document with our user access manager, and so they're able to see a high-level overview of the configuration that's needed when setting up user records. This document has also been shared with our training and change management professional so they can field permission questions and help us continuously audit security requirements. We treat this as a living document with continuous updates and maintenance. Thank you, Dean. Yeah, it's a lot. So as you can see, our roles, custom profiles, public groups, and sharing rules decreased dramatically. If our users didn't need specific home pages, we would have less profiles too if we could have helped it. We increased our permission sets and permission set groups, which has been instrumental in managing the security of our org. With this new approach, if a new permission is needed, we can easily determine where this can be added to an existing permission set or create a new permission set depending on how broadly the permission should be applied. These simple updates are also easy to promote through change sets, which helps with efficiency, consistency, and ease of maintenance. With the permissions residing in fewer places, it's easier for us to troubleshoot issues, and using the user and permission analyzer is a great help as well. Now I'm going to pass it back to Jami. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Lynette, for recapping the impact that this approach had for us as admins. Definitely was worth it, and all the effort that it took to build it out. But we did learn some lessons along the way that we wanted to share with you. First is that detailed and iterative requirements discussions with your user groups are an absolute must. A one and done meeting approach is not enough. Groups might have different expectations about object and field level permissions, so having multiple meetings with all of the interested parties helps to identify those needs and come to an agreement as to how to move forward. Second, it is important to organize information in one place for ease of tracking, reference, and update. With this approach, you can see that you only saw the one object. There is a lot of detail that needs to be tracked about each and every object, and even down to the fields in your org. So having a clean way to document those requirements and the solutions to those requirements is a must. Lynette did show you a snapshot of the spreadsheet that we use for tracking. And like she said, we treat this as a living document that gets updated every time a change is made and use it as a reference if any questions arise along the way. Third is that controlling field level edit access by record type can be challenging and may require leveraging some validation rules. One thing that we learned is that record type access actually rolls up when added to a permission set group. So for example, if you open read access on record type A and read edit on record type B, any fields that are shared between those two record types are editable in both cases. This is because the system can't differentiate between which record type has those expanded permissions and which one doesn't. And this opens up more permissions on the first record type than might be intended. After some chats with Salesforce support, we did learn that there is no workaround for this right now, and it wasn't exactly expected, so we'll see what they do with that. So we had to leverage validation rules that we didn't originally account for to control this action a bit more. And then finally, allowing users to delete records owned by other users may require triggers. In our org, we wanted to avoid granting object level modifiable access if it could be avoided. So to keep permissions a little bit tighter, we leveraged Apex triggers to prevent users from deleting records from a record type that they should not have delete access to, but did as a result of that roll-up action of permission set groups. This not only allowed us to prevent record deletion, but also allowed us to present our users with a message to let them know that they don't have that permission within the user interface and to see who they can go see for assistance. All of which helps improve user experience at the end of the day. These aren't the only lessons that we learned along the way, but they are certainly some of the biggest to consider when determining the best approach for your org. And that's really all that we had for you today. Dean's going to throw up on our screen some reference links or some links to some resources that our team used during our permissions journey that might be helpful to you. First is that Learn More admin article that he mentioned that really laid the foundation for the approach we ended up adopting. The second is additional guidance provided by our friends at Salesforce, Ben, that really expands on those ideas presented in that Learn More article. And that last link is a Trailblazer community update from Cheryl Feldman. So I just want to throw this in there. When we first started this journey, the guidance was that profile-based permissions management would be retired in the spring 26 release. Salesforce has since walked back on that message, and the community update addresses that decision to not enforce that end-of-life date, but it also expands on how Salesforce continues to encourage moving toward a permission set and permission set group security model.
I think your next slide is questions.
Great. Thank you all for your attendance. I know we're short on time, but we're happy to answer any questions that might be out there.
Dean, there's one question, and it's from Amanda. Do you use muting in your permission set groups?
As
We
of
have
right
not
now, we
used-
don't.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Dean.
No, you're absolutely right. Go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah, I was just saying, as of right now, we don't. We haven't found as much of a need for it quite yet, but certainly something that we're keeping an eye on as we go along.
Okay, good stuff. All right. Thank you, everybody. That is our time today. And this will be recorded. Dean, you can stop sharing your screen. And that's the end of our session. Jamie,
you all.
Lynette,
Thank you all.
Dean, thank you. You did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.